Hi, and welcome to Talking Small Press Comics, episode number 78, with Steve Keeter and me, Larned Justin. And today, our special guest, Dale Martin.
Hello.
Hey, Dale, glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Dale.
This should be fun.
You say that now.
Didn't you you've got questions, Steve? I think he sent you a copy of some of the...
Yeah, I got a little heads up.
Yeah,
I printed it. I got a rough draft of a bunch of questions, but it might not go in this direction.
We'll play it by ear.
See what happens.
And
it's just an idea because you don't want to start with nothing, but we're not starting with nothing. We're starting with Dale Martin, and this guy is amazing and has made a huge impact on the small press community.
You're too kind.
Decades since I believe 1985, I think.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask. When did you actually get into small press?
I started in like junior high-ish. I was a teenager, and I was just drawing little comics on paper, and a friend of mine started doing that too, and then we worked on some things together, and then it kind of snowed. I stuck with it. I guess I found something I liked, and I kept with it. And then when Tim Corrigan's SPCE came out,
there we go again.
Yeah, that's what connected me to like
everybody.
More
Yeah.
That's a recurring theme in all of our videos. Tim
kind of is.
That one and Fact Sheet 5 was the other magazine that
Mike Gundel is.
Yeah. I picked up some of those too. There was a lot of non-comic stuff in there to wade through. But yeah, I missed both of those because it was kind of there wasn't a lot going on, so that was like a central meeting point for a lot of stuff. And now with the internet's kind of scattered everybody.
Yeah, that was were the days before the computers, Yeah.
Yeah, with Xerox, I learned with the Xerox copier and
But I was there before the computers.
Me too. Yeah,
I was there.
Yeah,
we got our first computer like when I was married. We got our like the year 2000. Something 1999 maybe, but before that, But Dale came along in like 1985. But I heard about Dale before then because Watusi was already around, and Dale was doing a lot of work for other people. And but I saw this. I went to Rick Bradford's poop sheet site.
Yeah,
because he's got a lot of information. You can just put it. You can put in your name, and you can find all this stuff. And I found this, and I tried to print it out. But there's something called so it's in two pieces because I tried to print it out. But you did something called Arm and Hammer back in 1985.
Yeah, it was a superhero parody thing, kind of a cross between Thor and Arm and Hammer. It had little cartoon video commercials with a walking box of baking soda, and so that's kind of where I started that. And that was a superhero parody I did for most of the 80s.
Really? Oh, that's before my time.
That was the first thing I did that people knew me from when I was advertising in SPCE and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of moved away from that.
Yeah. When did you start Watusi, actually?
I have to look, probably 99, 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Really? It seems like Watusi's been around forever.
As I've been kind of working through the Jam comics with my own finishes, I realized a lot of those are 20 years old. So I've been doing that character for almost 25 years now, which is weird to think about, but time flies.
Yeah. Wow. And then,
Larned, we're one of the early people who saw that.
Yeah. Oh,
one of the first people who saw Watusi in April 5.
For anybody who doesn't know, Dale would draw 4 panels of a cartoon, Watusi the Talking Dog, and he would leave the last panel blank, and then he would send it to whoever wanted to fill out the last panel, and that was a Jam comic.
It was a little different, actually. I drew the first panel and hoped people would draw 2 and 3, and then I would finish it up.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. Yeah, I
Oh,
found that since I wrote
always
this
thought it was
down,
okay.
my memory was faulty on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking over some of the older jams, and I could see you did the first and the last panel. You know, I
yeah.
I put that down wrong on our notes.
Oh,
But
okay. That's
still,
where I did
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
I
fun.
know.
It was, you know, especially when I had connection with all those other 8x5 cartoonists, there were people willing to play. So that was nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's great. Where were you living before you went to Memphis?
I lived in Lawrence, Kansas for a long
Lawrence,
time.
Kansas. That's right. I
Yeah.
was trying to think of that, and I couldn't think of it. And
Yeah. It was near Kansas City. So
yeah.
I
So,
did a little bit with Kansas City cartoonists,
uh-huh.
but they were not, their activity kind of came and went in spurts.
I was trying to remember when you and I went to space together. Did you drive to St. Louis?
No, we
How
met
did
up
we do
there.
that?
I
We
flew
met
in.
up there.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
I
remember how we did
that was
that.
too long of a drive for me to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So what'd you do? Fly?
I flew in. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, which is why I'm only able to do it a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because it you know, flying ain't cheap and it's hard to bring a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That
Um,
is hard to do. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
so
wouldn't even attempt that. Yeah. Huh. But
yeah.
it
Well, I
is a
flew
long
from
drive.
Orlando.
Even from St. Louis, it's a long drive.
Oh yeah, yeah. And from here it'd be a long drive. It wouldn't be like a day trip even. So
No.
it's not really been on my radar just
Yeah.
because of travel
Yeah.
logistics.
There must be shows near you though, right?
There, you know, my work in Comic Cons don't really jive too well because Comic Cons have become more sort of fanfares and people want to get the thing they already know about. They don't
Yeah.
want to try something new.
Yeah.
Um, but I've had better luck at like book fairs, and they just
Oh.
had a zine fest last week here in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. There were a lot of people interested in what I was doing and asked questions about it. So it's, you know, it's a different audience, but it
Yeah.
seems to connect better with what I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Memphis. I lived in Memphis between the ages of about 5 and 9 years old.
Oh,
I
so you were,
remember Memphis, and I used to. I guess you can't do that anymore. But little kids like me, we would walk around just everywhere, and I found stores that sold comics, and I don't know that the Memphis of today is the Memphis that I was a child in.
you wouldn't want to necessarily walk around a lot of these streets, really.
Oh, really? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, you know, like every big city,
It's
it's
like
got a lot of,
everywhere. Every big
yeah.
city has
Yeah.
the same problem. Yeah.
And traffic is terrible. And honestly, Memphians don't want to drive. So yeah, you got to watch yourself.
Great. Great.
Yeah. But they still have Beale Street there. I know.
Yeah,
When
it
I was a
probably
kid, I
has.
know I went to Graceland. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Beale Street's probably had a revival since you were there as a tyke because I think in the late 80s, they sort of gentrified it and made it a tourist area. And, you know, it's still a thing. It's still a big tourist draw between it
Yeah.
and Graceland. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still like to go. I like to go for nostalgic reasons and for other reasons, because I'm a
Yeah.
big blues fan. This by the way, this is a page that Larned was involved
It looks
with.
like some Larned art. Yeah.
Larned's
my
in here
God.
somewhere
Oh my gosh. I'll be
in those
darned.
middle panels, but this is a Watusi jam. I just happened to pull this up.
Yeah, Larned was early on when, you know, he was a regular contributor. And then after a while, you know, people stopped doing a lot of things through the mail and it kind of jam thing kind of dropped off a little. And then I started the webcomic and did more of my own thing. So it's kind of changed. I still like to do the jams, but it's harder to get it to come together. So,
I would think so. Yeah.
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 And that the group you belong to, the MC, what is it?
MSCA.
MSCA.
Yeah.
Mid-South Cartoonist Association.
Yeah.
Right down.
That really looks nice. Really.
Yeah, they're a good group. You know, Kevin Williams is the president, and he's done a great job of kind of keeping the group revitalized. And after we met on Zoom during the pandemic, and after that, we got a lot of new people somehow found out about us, and they've come to meetings more, and they participated in the art shows and the zine, and it's
Where
great.
do you meet? Where do you have your meetings?
We meet at a local pizza place.
Oh, okay.
Once a month, which is kind of just a social hour, and then we do a couple of other things that are more drawing based, like we meet at a local comic store maybe quarterly, and it's just a day to draw, and it's like
That's fun.
10 to 2, and it is interesting because a lot of people, you can still chat, but a lot of people can get work done. One guy, Eric McMeans, he's been just brush inking, just practicing his brush inking. He would print out someone else's pencils and he would just ink, which is nice to see, because I don't give myself that sort of time to just practice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a few more drawing based things, and when we do some gallery shows of paintings.
That's
and other
great.
things. So
I do have a group here in St. Louis I meet with. It's every third Monday of the month.
Oh yeah.
And it's called Ink and Drink, and they meet at a mini brewery.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and they're pretty. It's fun.
Yeah, it is nice
maybe not quite as active as your bunch, but they do quite a bit.
Well, just connecting in real life with other artists is nice.
Right.
And just seeing what tools people draw with is interesting.
Yeah.
There's another group I started going to meeting with here. It's called Urban Sketchers, and they meet one Saturday a month at a different place, and you just go out and draw in real life. And that's interesting too, because a lot of people have totally different mediums. There's some abstract artists, and it's nice to kind of, get out of the cartooning zone a little. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, some of the people involved in the MSCA, this MSC, this wasn't around when I was in Memphis. It was a long time ago.
It started in 1987.
You got some great artists. What's this guy's name? James Negrin?
That's Jason Negan. Yeah, he
okay.
And I really enjoy that story. It's very superhero based, but his writing is really his art is good, but his writing is really solid. And he ends on nice cliffhangers. It's been a great little continued strip we've had in those issues.
Yeah. That's in The Good, the Bad, and the Sketchy, which is the signature zine of this particular group. How often is this published?
Sporadically, we would say.
Yeah.
We started it right before the pandemic. We had our stapling party for number 2 right before everything locked down. Yeah. And we took a little break after a while. There's just some burnout that goes on. And we came back about a year ago, and new people were interested in doing it. So we're probably going to be taking a break here and again in a bit, just to give some breathing room. But I think it's a nice project to get people doing a thing. And a lot of these people, that's been their first time being published. So
that's great. These are people that are outside the mainstream of small press for some part. And but I see you've got there's something by you in a previous issue, The Heart of a Monkey.
Yeah, I like to try a little different thing with it, since I already have my own thing, and that one was just a folktale adaptation. So it's a chance to just try a little something that will just be a few pages long. So it make it work for me too.
Yeah, it's different. It's quite different from Watusi. If Watusi is your signature character, what you're mostly known for, which is interesting because you said you have a 15-year history before Watusi ever came along.
I've done a lot of stuff. That's been that scratched a lot of itches, especially with the webcomic. It let me tell a continued story. So that character served me well over the years.
Yeah. When I think of Dale Martin, we generally think Watusi. That's what really struck a nerve. Somewhere along the line, that character is just would you say that character reflects your own personality, or it's just?
He's
It
probably a
would if you
little.
were a dog.
He's
Yeah.
probably a little more friendly and helpful than I am, but otherwise, pretty close.
Anything exciting you got coming up in the future, or anything different, and something?
Well, I've done a few. I did one Memphis history comic, and I've kind of toyed with doing a couple of other ones. But
That's
the
neat.
pagination hasn't really worked out well. But I think I have an angle on, and I try like to finish a couple of those next year. So that's something a little different. And then at the Zine Fest, I always try to do an artier thing. And this year I did. It didn't come. It wasn't finished, so I did an ash can of a Egyptian mythology comic, because there's sort of an Egyptian Memphis connection. And so I did that, and I did an ash can to get some reader feedback on different trim sizes and that kind of thing. So it was useful. I always try to do something a little artier for that thing, because the audience there has come to appreciate a little fancier handmade book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
something good.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought I saw some other stuff. You mentioned Egyptian. I know there's a story, and it's somewhere in my pile of stuff over here, but there's a story about this mummy, and there's a Watusi encounters this mummy, and by the end of the story, the mummy, all the bandages are off, and the mummy's embarrassed, standing there, totally naked.
Yeah, he was trying
to
get Watusi. He was bargaining with Watusi for some reason, and Watusi just cleaned him out.
Watusi wanted everything he had, and so he did. He got everything he had, and then the guy's got his hands between his legs, and he's like, and it's a mummy. And I'll tell you what, I never saw that. I never saw that in a Universal Monster movie or anything else.
No, probably wouldn't have. Yeah.
That was a good story.
Besides cartooning, are you working, or are you retired, or anything?
Since we moved here, I've been full-time art making, which is a misnomer, because it seems like you spend a lot of time on the business side. And for me, since I do a lot of prints and note cards, there's a fair amount of production involved with trimming and packaging and all that.
Well, I know you do that kind of a newsletter that you send out through email.
Yeah.
That looks like a lot of work to me. I mean, it really does.
Well, it's a nice. It is, considering how it doesn't always seem to pay off, but it's a good habit for me to be in, just to kind of let people know I'm doing things, especially with shows that I have coming up, because when I do art fairs and those kind of things, it's sort of a different market. But with the print sales, that's helped pay for my comic printing.
Really?
Yeah. Memphians love pictures of Memphis, so I've drawn a lot of Memphis scenes,
and they'll buy those, right?
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's nice to see, when I do those kind of shows, to see people reacting to my work in real time. Because when when I send stuff through the mail or post it online, I don't get that sort of reaction.
Well, yeah.
And people are happy to tell stories. And there was a story that someone told me, I didn't get his name, so I feel bad about that now, that planted the seed for a story that I think I'll try to do next year too. So that was, it's not, it is, sometimes I get really good ideas and get feedback. And the Memphis mythology thing really kind of started because somebody was asking if I had any Egyptian stuff, that kind of thing. And it got me thinking about their mythology, and it's very different than like Greek mythology, because it's so ancient that these gods don't really have personalities. It's like everybody forgot their nature. They just had the role they played. So it's interesting, but it's interesting to delve into it a little.
Yeah. That's neat. Really.
So something a little different than Watusi.
Otherwise, my biggest problem is coming up with a story or something, I'm famous for I get a half an idea and I start drawing, hoping that something will come to me.
That's all it takes is get you going. Yeah.
I always keep a notepad by me. If I have an idea, I write it down. It's been a while since I've done any actual comics, actually written and drawn any. It's been a couple of years. I need to get I need to get to work. I've got a new comic coming out soon, Mantra. But as far as doing these shows, and I do the UFO. I'm chairman of the UFO, and so I'm doing this stuff. So I'm pretty busy with a lot of other stuff, and I'm trying to find a way to get more time to just work on my stuff. But you guys are an inspiration, and but as far as you were saying, you are, because you're always putting out stuff. Larned is a creative dynamo. He's always got new ideas, and every time I look, there's something else from Dale. And I even got a Christmas card. This must a year or two ago. I got a Christmas card.
I was going to say I got that too.
Yeah,
you got that one from Dale.
This is a great Christmas card.
Well, I always try to do since I was a kid. Well, since I moved out on my own. I've always done a Christmas card of some sort.
That was really nice. That's really cool.
I've done those too, but this kind of reminds me that Memphis snows in Memphis.
Christmas card, but it's at that time of year.
We've had some snows lately, which is disappointing to me because I moved south hoping to get away from that.
That's what they told me when I moved to St. Louis. Oh, it might snow for a day, and then it's gone the next day. Well, the first year we were here, we got about 10 inches of snow. Didn't go anywhere. Stayed.
The first year we were here, we got a dusting, and they shut the city down. It's like, okay, this is great. But since then, we've had like snows on top of snows where they didn't melt in between. We've had like last winter, there was below freezing for like 10 days into the single digits. It was crazy. So
See, Steve can't relate to that. I'm
in Florida now.
Got it made till the hurricanes keeps you away. Yeah.
Yes, hurricanes. But other than that.
But the most significant, I only had 2 white Christmases, but only one that really counts. And that was in Memphis, Tennessee, when I was like 6 years old. And it was a big snow. I mean, I built snowmen, we did the whole bit. And it was great. And it was really cold. We were kids, I was 6 years old. So I put on a big jacket and had ultimate energy and just ran out and building snowmen and, snow castles and all kinds of stuff. We were, but, I don't think I could stand that kind of cold.
Not now. And I'd have to
live in Florida for all these years, but
that would be hard.
It's a great memory. It's a great memory. Yeah. I loved Memphis when I was there. Memphis is a great place, but I wasn't involved in a cartoonist community at that time.
Well, not when you were 6 years old.
Yeah,
I was already drawing comics though. I was drawing comics on notebook paper and
you were ahead of your time.
Very crude stuff. Someone in Memphis, one of my aunts might have some of that stuff that I did.
That's kind of funny because
very primitive stuff.
I've always drawn stuff, but to me, when I would think about drawing a comic, I would think, well, I got as much chance of publishing a comic book as being a professional baseball player. No chance. So I never thought you could even do anything like that until sometime in the late 90s when I discovered small press. And I was already an old fart by that time.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had access to photocopiers. My dad copied some of my early comics at work. But that made a huge difference to rather than just drawing one thing, to be able to make a multiple and share it was kind of eye-opening.
That was for me. When I found out people were doing that all over the world, I was amazed, and I just had to jump in and try and do the same thing.
Well, good. I'm glad you did.
Me too.
Because you were a painter before that, right?
Oh yeah. I paint watercolor, acrylics, that kind of stuff, and oils. I did a lot of oils, but I haven't done much of that lately. And
I
I don't
find
know why.
painting to be hard because
Well,
I
I think
feel
it's
like
because drawing a comic book, I just finished a 32-page full color comic book,
Mhm.
which took me 4 or 5 months to finish, And, when you devote that much time to comics, you don't have much time to do paintings and all that. So,
for me, it's like when I'm doing a comic, I can make corrections, but when I'm doing a painting, it's harder to make those sort of corrections.
yeah.
Because the paintings I do are more, I do a flat color thing, and then I draw line work on it with the.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
I've
it's
done that.
very similar to a cartoon in that
Yeah.
way, but
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't leave me a lot of room to miss a step or make corrections if I need to. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even
Pretty
if they're
much
waiting.
once you put the paint on there, you kind of have done it,
yeah, because my base color layer is pretty spontaneous.
Mhm.
'Cause I didn't overwork things,
Yeah.
and so that also makes it hard to make corrections.
What medium are you using? Are you doing it on paper or
I'm
canvas?
doing it I take a masonite board and I gesso it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, because I don't like the give of a canvas, especially when I'm drawing on it. So
Yeah.
having a harder surface suits me
Yeah.
well.
For doing that kind of thing, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're doing a canvas will bounce a little bit when you're pushing on it.
Yeah, and I've always felt my brush work is a little. I'm not real pleased with it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I probably don't spend enough time playing with it. But
Yeah.
honestly, that's not my thing. Like,
Uh-huh.
like I told somebody at the Zine Fest, and they said, "Oh, you've been doing this a while, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah, I found my thing early on. I don't mess around with painting. I don't mess around with animation. I do comics. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my wheelhouse."
Yeah.
So can we see your painting? The Smeary soapbox website. Are your paintings on there? Or?
There's a page called Art and Illustration that has some paintings on there.
You don't happen to have a painting near you, do you?
Well, let's see.
That's quite a comprehensive website.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of point up that
Oh, yeah.
that Silver Surfer painting next to
Yeah.
that's one of my paintings.
Okay.
So
Zoom in on that, everybody. Zoom in on that.
Yeah, zoom in
Yeah.
on that. I was trying to do at that point, they're like 12 by 12 panels. So that it's sort of actual size, so that of the head of a human thing, so that you can relate to it better.
Oh, really? Oh, neat. Yeah.
So a lot of them were just portraits, and it didn't feel, or it feel like studies to me. I don't really feel like I have a great mature body. Like, I don't know what I'm saying with my paintings, the way other people have like a thing they're doing. So it also doesn't really, they're just pictures. They don't really, if I'm going to tell a story or get a point across, comics just serve me better because I can use words.
You can tell a story with comics.
Yeah.
Painting, you're limited to the one picture, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my paintings were usually landscapes and things like that.
yeah,
I did
I
all
love
my
it.
oils with the palette knife.
My paintings don't exist because I never did paint them,
nice.
because early on I found out that I was colorblind, so I had a problem getting the colors right, So I gave it up early on. I just did comics over the years.
Pink trees, yeah.
I'm envious of you guys.
Oh well, talking about landscapes, I have been watching the Bob Ross show, which I never watched back in the day, and I've learned more about brush work from him than I ever did in classes. They never really taught that sort of level of here's what this mark can do. And I love seeing people who do palette knife paintings. I think those are really interesting.
Yeah, I never did use a brush. Plus, there's no cleanup. You take a piece of toilet paper or something and you wipe it off. One swipe, you're done.
They should have told me that in school.
Yeah. But haven't done any in a long time.
I was looking through Rick Bradford. Okay, the Poop Sheet. Poop Sheet is the website, and it used to be a magazine, and now it's a website. Rick Bradford's Poop Sheet, and I just typed in Dale Martin, and there was a huge amount of information, and so I just printed a bunch of it out.
I need to send more stuff. Actually,
this is a cover in black and white Watusi #1. I don't think that's the original. There was another Watusi #1, wasn't there?
No, that was it.
No, this is it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it always a digest size comic?
Yeah, I mean, I like that format. Most of my things have been digests. I do a few mini comics because I also like the fact of an 8-page mini comic is one sheet of paper. Like, what can I do with that? So I do that, but generally digests. I think that gives me a nice page size, and it's easy to reproduce.
Yeah, definitely. I've done. I never did a mini comic. I did digest.
You have a particular printer you go to, or
I've been using. I don't know. Is this a product placement window for? No, I've been using a place called Best Value Copy because they can let me do bleeds on those covers, which I never found. I never knew anybody else could let me do that, and I really like that finish that it adds to have full bleeds on my covers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we started using it for this MSCA book too, and I just think they make that makes a really sharp looking product.
Yeah, it does.
Sharp for sure.
Yeah,
I got a few of those here: the good, the bad, and the sketchy.
Yeah. I've been happy with what they do, especially double-sided printing is really expensive, so they have a nice price.
You guys take turns doing the cover or something, or?
Yeah, we kind of spread it around. We haven't had anybody duplicate yet. We're running out. We've kind of run through all our regulars, so we'll see what happens next couple of issues. Yeah, it's nice to give people a spotlight.
Really? For sure.
A chance, and sometimes I just think you're a good fit for this, and so I'll ask people to would you do this? Would you be interested in doing this one? So,
yeah.
That's
and I got this from Tom Pelrath, Strange Times #5. You didn't do the cover.
He's got some sharp production, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. And Tom Pelrath he just vanished from small press 30 years ago, 30 years ago, somewhere in there, 25 years ago, and he came back and
he came back.
I invited him back, but there's a Watusi story in here.
Yeah,
it's a really good one. It's a real funny one where Watusi is a stand-up comedian and he's making.
That was fun to do. That theme I connected with that theme of what Tom.
People keep booing him throughout.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's pretty steadfast.
Yeah.
Got a little flop sweat, but that's about it.
Yeah.
The cover I did for Tom.
Yeah, that was a different look for you.
Yeah.
Too. I remember.
Pencil sketches once
great
in a
cover
while like this, and he used it for that, and he actually won a little award for the cover.
Yeah.
I've been to Larned's house, and that picture is on the wall, I think in your kitchen, right? In the dining room?
No, it's in my studio.
Yeah. I knew it was somewhere, but it's on the wall.
So was that a drawing you'd already done, or was that something you did just for that book?
I just drew it because I wanted to, and then I sent Tom, he wanted some submissions, so I sent him some other sketches. That was one of the sketches, and he used it for a cover.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
It was a knockout. Really,
I didn't know he was going to do that, but he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's a Watusi #9. Looks like the top of it's chopped off, but again, this is reprinted from a Rick Bradford site.
Yeah, that was at the time I started doing. When I wanted to add color to my covers, I was hand stenciling the cover art for those.
Wow.
Let me.
You know what's?
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
50 million Watusi fans can't be wrong. Excuse me, folks. My allergies are driving me nuts.
It was a Graceland connection before I ever moved here, because that was a famous Elvis cover.
Thing going on here. We're back.
But yeah, I did this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely a gold paint.
Oh, gold. Yeah.
So
wow.
that was one of those early stenciled covers. So it was, when I did some free comic book day things and it was just all black and white covers, like, well, that doesn't jump out. So that's why I started stenciling covers. And I did that up until I started paying for color
Now,
covers.
when you say stenciling, what exactly, what do you have to do?
I had like a plastic material, cut out stencil, and then I rolled paint, the same kind of roller paint I use when I'm doing canvases, and just, you know, rolled the paint over, where are we here? Rolled paint over this cover. And the stencil blocked everything I wanted to not be yellow. And so, yeah, it was, you know, it was, I wouldn't say it was laborious. Because I like 2-color art a lot.
Yeah, it looks great.
And yeah, I was pleased with that.
Hmm.
And then I did, let me grab another one here that I was pleased with. Did some, let me do 2-color, 2 different blues.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And I was really fortunate, and it was just dumb luck that I designed that logo in a way that it could be one continuous shape. So I could totally just cut out the areas and roll a single swipe to get the Watusi logo.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was my first stab at color.
Instantly recognizable, that Watusi logo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know right away from that.
Yeah.
Now, do you do anything digital at all?
I would like to learn to draw digitally, but I don't know how. I feel like it's moving in too far, and I'm trying to do things pixel by pixel, which isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
I've got a tablet set up with Clip Studio Pro, but I haven't really used it enough.
I've got Procreate, and I can't get used to it. I can't get used to drawing with that the pencil, you know, the pressure.
It's a different thing, because, you know, when I was in school, computers were pretty much used for typesetting. Like, I never learned Illustrator or any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I never did
It
either.
was easier to, you know, it was just easier to draw things, even like rules and all that, than to fuss with doing it on the computer.
Yeah.
So at the time, you know, and that changed dramatically just a couple of years later.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to teach myself to color digitally. And that took, like, my first stabs were not great because I didn't know the difference between screen color and printed color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why does that not look right? And it took me a while to get a handle on that. But now I feel pretty confident.
You did this?
What I'm doing. Yeah.
You did this with a computer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Computer coloring? That's wonderful.
Program?
Great. Looks just like it too. That guy right there.
I just do it on Photoshop. That one has a little bit of, it's a mix of handwork and digital work, because like some of the accents in the tree, in the leaves back there, I drew those on marker, and then I scanned that in and just overlaid it for digital coloring. So
that's the thing. I never learned Photoshop.
I've kind of learned by doing.
That's the only way you could do it, I guess, really.
Yeah, and there are a lot more helpful online tutorials.
Yeah.
Like if I have a question, like I was trying to do neon for a print, and I found some help just online, and it's like, okay, I'll copy those steps. I'm like, oh, it works. Yeah. So yeah, it's. And once I learned those things, I've kind of it's helped me a bit.
And what do you think about AI assisted cartooning?
There's
as a cartoonist, I don't want a computer doing my job, and I don't really think a lot of things. It's going to narrow your imagination in a way too, if you rely on these prompts too much.
Yeah,
it's not something I'm interested in really pursuing, because I don't need, like, I'm not doing advertising jobs where I need to get like a dozen comps to show a client, which would be too many anyway. But if you want to do that, but then you're kind of, I don't know. It seems like it's going down
I feel like you're kind of cheating a little bit, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I've used it maybe twice, and I've kind of made the decision myself. I'm not going to go with AI. I'll draw whatever I
But
want.
it's more than cheating. It's not you. It's not.
It's
It doesn't come from your heart. It doesn't come from your soul. You're telling the computer what to do, and it does it in somebody else's style or in its own style. That's wherever it came from. But it's not a real cartoonist does their own artwork. They do their own work. You know, you're pouring out your heart and soul in everything you do. You know,
yeah, and I don't understand someone like I want to be a comic artist, but I can't draw, and I'm not going to bother learning how to draw. I'm going to
do AI.
It's like that's
not
that's a weird decision to make. Yeah, because where do you get, you know, how will you get better? How will you? Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah,
drawing cartoons, as we all know, is practice. It's practice.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could draw.
The more you draw, you get better a little bit at a time. You can't do that with AI.
Yeah.
Type a description better. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, because I was inking a page the other day, and it's like, oh, I don't often enjoy inking, but I had an opportunity to pencil better, and it's like, oh, this is fun. I'm just inking, and it goes,
yeah,
you know, and get in that groove of actually drawing.
Yeah,
is really nice, and to give that up, even if you're drawing on a tablet, that can be pleasant too, because you can make progress faster.
Yeah, look at Alan Freeman's tablet work sometime.
Or somebody like Keith Newsom does great work.
Newsom also
brilliant work. You know,
Freeman
draws it.
You know? I can't even imagine how he does it.
Yeah,
if you've
my
ever
work
seen
is
any of its pen and ink digital drawings are unbelievable.
Yeah, my work is pretty simple. I looked at other people. It's like I kind of gravitated to a more strict black and white look, compared to people who put a lot of hatching and a lot of detail into their things. It's not the way I draw generally.
Well, I think
well. Yeah.
I think when you come up with a character like Watusi, it's fairly easy to draw. You don't have, and you can put them in all kinds of situations. If you create a character that's way too complicated, you wear yourself out trying to draw panel after panel with that character in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that simple.
Yeah, when I've tried to change up how just in my sketchbook, how could I make Watusi a little more interesting to draw? It doesn't look right. It's just
right. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Too late now. You've got a Watusi established.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little retool after I'd finished that Oz webcomic. I was like, I needed a break, and it's a break that's lasted too long. But one of the things I wanted to do was kind of get a better handle on drawing my characters consistently. And so I was looking at how to, I was doing a little reevaluation of how I was drawing these characters. And I didn't make many dramatic changes, but it was an interesting exercise to kind of look at it. How can I make this a little easier for me to work with and look more consistent? Because sometimes those digest pages are just too small. I want to get more information in there. Convey a sense of environment.
Yes,
and it's hard to do, especially to letter at a size I like to letter at. And I'm a pretty wordy writer, so I don't leave a lot of room for the drawing sometimes.
Interesting that you said that, because I have something that you did a couple of years ago. It's Ramble.
Oh yeah,
Oktoberfest, and this is an entirely wordless comic that you did.
Yeah.
And I've always said the mark of a really good cartoonist, a really good storyteller, is that they can tell the story with the images only and no dialogue, and you pull that off in this.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was fun to do. I tried Inktober before, and I felt like doing homework. But this one was a little nicer because I kind of set the parameters. I'm going to tell a story using these theme words, and it kind of worked. Yeah.
One page every day for a month, and you came up with this great story. It's pretty wild. This
alien
being who eats little frog guys, but anyway.
Yeah.
but it's totally entirely, and then the artwork is great. So it forces you, because there's no words, it forces you to concentrate on the artwork, to pay attention.
Yeah, and since a lot of those were just single images, but that's why I went that smaller trim size, because it's like, okay, it's just going to be this picture. I could put a little more detail into it, like on the treasure chest there,
Right.
that I wouldn't normally do. If I've got a lot of words going on in that panel too, that would have taken a lot of real estate away from that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I mean, but that definitely shows that you know how to tell a story.
Well, thank you. I like to think I've learned a thing or two after all these years.
Well, yeah, that's nice.
All that practice adds up to something, right? You know,
Better show up.
You know, Larry Blake, the late great Larry Blake, he never used a computer ever.
Oh,
And,
no.
He just
packed
said,
a lot of
"You want to
detail
be a good
into
artist?"
that,
He
yeah.
said, "Practice, practice, practice. Just keep drawing," and that's what he did. He kept drawing and drawing and drawing, and you know. So there you go. You don't need computers. You know, you don't even need words, but you can tell a good story if you want to. If you're a creative person and you have an idea, you can put it down on pen and ink, and you know.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've met over the years. A couple of artists, well, more than a couple of artists, a few who just like they like to draw, but they don't have any ideas of what they want to draw. And I don't get that. It's like, how can you not know what you want to draw?
Yeah.
And oftentimes
it's different between knowing what you want to draw and coming up with a good story. I mean,
but even like knowing, like, I like to draw monsters, or I like to draw spaceships.
And then you got to come up with a story so you can draw some monsters.
Yeah, but I mean, if they like say, I like to draw spaceships, then you can like, oh, let me help you. Here's a germ of an idea that you can like work from and help them develop a thing. And
I've done, a number of things for other people where they tell me the story, they tell me what they want in each panel, and also the script, and I can knock those out pretty darn quick. If I don't have to stop and think of the story, I can get those done fairly fast. Yeah, and I like doing that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I haven't worked with writers too often, because until I really moved here, there weren't many other cartoonists I knew. A lot of them were, far afield. And nobody else was really doing like self-publishing anything that I knew. So it wasn't like I had a peer like that. So I've kind of just had to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Which,
I don't know if you know who Jason DeGroot is, but he's on Facebook all the time, and he does all these jam comics.
Oh, no.
And I've done a number of pages for him. He sends me what he wants, and I draw it,
Yeah.
He was just finishing up the original Scrooge story from Dickens.
Oh.
And everybody had a page, and he wrote out what he wanted on the page, and a bunch of different artists. I did 2 pages, and he said I could do another one if I want, but he's still going with that.
Yeah, I think he got it. I remember his name from back in the SPS, or maybe even back when we were going to space, back in that era.
Okay, here he is. This is Jason DeGroot's Sunday Jam.
So is he in Columbus also?
He's been doing this for about a year.
Is he in Columbus area also?
Jason's in Texas.
Oh, is he Texas? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in Texas.
But it's a jam comic he's done with all kinds of people. I have a page in here. Larned has a page in here. He sends it out, and Bob Corby has a page in here.
Yeah,
I guess I need to reach out and
get on Facebook and just check out Jason DeGroot. You'll see he has a Sunday jam. He has what he calls a Sunday jam. He has a couple of different jams going at the same time, and
well, cool.
Yeah, he'd love for you to do something, really.
Well, I'll see. It feels like I'm always, since I draw so slow, I always feel like my schedule is booked up. But I need to
He doesn't
stretch my
care how long it takes you. You know, he doesn't care. Whenever you get it done, send it in. But yeah, you got to do that.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I really
will
should.
make a note of that
Yeah.
right now, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason
I was
DeGroot.
looking through some old issues of Rap Sheet. Remember Rap Sheet when you
I
were
do
the
remember
chairman?
Rap Sheet.
You were
Yeah.
I
the
would
chairman
help.
for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was helping Sherman do an archival project on that. He's
Oh,
scanning everything into PDFs, and I told him I have all of the issues I did as I think they're PageMaker files, which I still have an old computer that can do PageMaker. So I converted them all to PDFs for him. So I'm not sure where or when he's going to find a home for those, but
I'm looking for you. This. You were chairman at this time, like of the Small Press Syndicate in like 2006, 2007, something around. In fact, here's something you did inside of Rap Sheet.
Yep, those
Smeary
were
soapbox.
webcomic strips that I did. It was sharing with
Webcomics.
you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
You put them in there.
yeah.
Larned was in the Small Press Syndicate at that time before it went all, digital, before it went online. And I was towards the end. I was the viceroy. I was in that group too for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know that it really thrived well after it went away as a print comic. I know Ronson was going to do a Carpal Tunnel Syndrome 5, and I don't know if that ever got finished. It was when I was there, it was hard to find. I couldn't find anyone to succeed me as chairman. And so we just kind of were, in theory, moving it online, but I don't think anybody really had the energy to keep it going online.
Didn't it continue for a little bit longer? I thought I saw some later issues with Sherman Burnett, but I'm not sure.
Well,
eventually
it may have. I did. When you were giving me the questions, I pulled up 146, which was the last issue I did.
Oh,
and
yeah?
as far as I know, that was the last issue. Yeah, and it was frustrating that nobody wanted to take it on because I liked the ideals of the SPS a lot, and it was a nice group of different people with different interests and different styles. Yeah. Like I remember, like Matt Levin was still contributing a lot. Andy Dukes, and their styles were so different, but they all were part of the same thing.
It was a different sort of co-op from the UFO. I mean, the UFO, I don't know. They had a different flavor in the early days of the UFO. It was like, we're the best of small press, and the small press syndicate was more relaxed, and they didn't have those quality demands.
Yeah.
But the UFO doesn't have that anymore. Well, I got rid of that stuff. I threw that out the window. You have a quality standard. If it's not good enough, then we'll kick you out of the group. But that's how it's really. I mean, even though they had good intentions, it was kind of like that in the early days. But it's not like that anymore. It's a much more friendly group. The small press syndicate was a very more relaxed and amiable type of to be a part of, and a lot of people were involved with it, and so I liked
it. It was kind of a little challenging because when I was there, it was sort of the end days, and a lot of members contributed really good pieces. Like Matt Levin had strips every issue. I forget his name now. Robert Upton. He kept us going with that Carpal Tunnel Syndrome 4 crossover. That was really entertaining. Andy Nukes would do wild and wacky drawings.
Andy Nukes, right here.
Yeah.
And that was great. But then there were other people who would just kind of send random files as attachments. And it's like, well, if you can't even be bothered to create, as a publisher, to create a zine or present your work in a consistent way, what are you expecting to get out of an organization like that? So that was frustrating that the internet seemed to be kind of, I mean, a lot of people didn't really, maybe they were just done trying to create a thing and were just wanting to post, more interested in posting on bulletin boards. So yeah, it was a weird time, I thought.
Yeah.
Because before that, Larned and I were in APA 5, and that's amazing that it was a
Were
month.
you in APA 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was too, but only for a little while, way back in the mid 1970s.
Oh, we were. This is early
was
2000s, and it was monthly. And it amazes me that even working, I may have been not working full time when I was not working full time when I started there, but by the time I was still, central mailer and was.
You were the central mailer for APA 5.
I was for a couple of years.
I had no idea.
I could do a monthly thing. I was like, where's the energy to do that now? I
know.
Yeah, it amazes me. But, there was not, we didn't have a lot of, there wasn't a lot of these distractions of the streaming age and, the internet really weren't having an impact yet. Even the internet really didn't have a lot of impact. We had a message board, but most people were doing things in their zines and, commenting on the work in the zines. So when you picked up that issue, you got a whole complete thing, a whole creative experience. And yeah, it's kind of when people start to we'll do the comments online, it kind of takes away from it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I did that. Speaking of monthly, I did that White Buffalo Gazette.
That was
monthly for over a year.
Yeah. I got one of those over here too. I think yesterday.
And to organize that many artists.
Yeah. And one day my wife said to me, "Why are you spending so much time on everybody else's stuff and you're not doing anything?" And I didn't have an answer for that.
That's it. That's part of the reason that I kind of have to step down as chairman of the UFO.
Yeah, you're doing everybody else's stuff and not your own.
Together a newsletter. One of the reasons Rap Sheet probably met its demise at some point, you got to realize there's only so many hours in a day. And if you're putting together a magazine like that on a bi-monthly basis, it's a lot of work. And you got a full-time job and everything else too. And then you find time to do your own stuff. That's why I'm working towards doing comics again.
I've run into that here with kind of working in artist groups too. It's like, somebody I was talking with last weekend, it's like, I'm not doing their holiday show because I realized as much energy as I put into that, because she's paying rent on a studio already. It's like, I could just open my own shop for the holidays for those 3 weeks. And it's like, So a lot of times groups don't live up to their ideals, sort of.
Right.
Because I've noticed that here a lot, groups that are we're a group that works together, but then when you see them in actuality, they're doing a street fair and everybody has their own booth near each other, but they're not really here's a group thing where we can share everybody's thing. And, but at the same time, it's if you devote everything to the group, you never get your own identity. So it's kind of a weird,
that's wild.
Double-edged sword.
I think back to the Chicago Comic Convention. I was there in '86 and '87, and 25 people in the UFO at the time, and 20 of them all showed up at this convention. It was a big thing, and they had a separate small press section where it was just small press, and we spent a lot of time promoting the UFO. Jim Main was there, Jeff Wood, who was one of the chairmen in those days. Jim Main was the chairman, and but yeah, we had that togetherness at that time. But we even all went out to eat. We went out and had burgers and 20 crazy small press people showed up at this restaurant across the street, and they were like, and they had to put tables together. But there was that sense of togetherness. We did something together that we all remember very well. Matt Pinzell was there, and he made a video of that. There's a video out there. If you ask Matt, he might still have copies of that on CD or DVD, but
well, I guess that's one of the nice things about, I sometimes get a little frustrated when the MSCA's meetups just become sort of a social hour. Because it's you're not really talking about work or working on work that you can share and get feedback on. But at the same time, it's nice FaceTime to just enjoy each other's company. So it serves its purpose too. Yeah.
Well, Dale, We usually try to keep things to an hour because we find that
Where we at?
people's
Glad
attention
on long
span
enough.
is about 2 minutes. So I
Was there
think
anything you didn't get to that you had questions about?
we covered everything unless you know of something you wanted to say. Be happy to have you, whatever. But anyway,
It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure
this was
talking
fun.
with you, Dale. Really nice
Really
to
enjoyed it.
see you in
Really
person.
enjoyed
Put a face on.
Well, you see my face on a lot of comics, like that Halloween issue. There I was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, there you are, right there. It looks
It's
just
right
like
there.
you.
Yeah.
Right
Yes,
there.
sir.
Oh, happy Halloween, everyone! This is Halloween.
that's
As we're
right.
recording this.
Yeah.
It is
Ooh.
Halloween.
I got to go out trick or treating. I got to wrap this up.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. And so does Steve, of course. But that was great.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit end recording and we will say, see you next time.
Adios, folks.
See ya. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.